the Pokemon Scarlet DLC Indigo disc on the way. At least when you guys are seeing this, probably in a few days. Are going to be getting a bunch of new Pokemon coming into the game. So I kind of just wanted to go over 5 of the most common cores, at least duos you're going to be seeing. At least like pairings for VGC, probably Regulation F. It's not going to be Regulation F until like January, but you're going to be seeing a lot of people use all the new Pokemon on the casual ladder and that type of thing, and starting their team building process once the DLC drops. So, just going to be going through like, I think 5 of the most common like duos and combos you're going to be seeing for VGC here and when the DLC drops. So, if you guys like these videos, leave a like, subscribe, share the video, really appreciate it. If you guys want to become a channel member, there is a join button down below or a link in the description if you guys want to join for channel VIP. Get a bunch of perks, and you also help out the channel immensely. Apart from that, I should have a bunch of other stuff on the way with when the Indigo disc DLC does drop, so it might be a little bit slow on content for the first few days after the DLC drops, but I'm going to be working on some stuff once it does drop. I got to play through it and everything as well, which ain't going to be like in one day, so... But I do have a lot more content on the way if you guys not want to miss it. First one we got is actually Chien-Pao Entei. I think this is going to be like a kind of a no-brainer combo because I think Entei kind of outclasses Dragonite, which is kind of the current combo right now. I think at least what you're going to be running with Chien-Pao, I think it's kind of going to be the standard set. Like what you guys see on screen right now. Like the 252, 252. You can maybe run like Adamant too sometimes, but then you're kind of getting outsped by Flutter Mane if they're speed tying with you. So... kind of a standard set like the Focus Sash. You can maybe, it depends what like a lot of this stuff is. Like keep in mind going into this, at least I'm recording this before the Indigo disc drops, or there's like any leaks, like solid actual real leaks of any move pools or like ability changes for any of the returning Pokemon or current Pokemon. So we're going based off of what a lot of the returning Pokemon had for national decks, and that's kind of what I'm making this video around. So a lot of the move pools might change, and we really don't know what's going to be the most common stuff really being run right now. So, kind of talking more of it in a general sense, not really like full on like fleshed out type of like move sets and EV builds and that type of thing, because we don't really know what's going to be the most common stuff right now. We know what's currently common like Regulation E, but there's going to be a lot of really good Pokemon being added with DLC. So, a lot of stuff's going to be changing. I will continue to update videos as well, so if you guys do not want to miss updated videos on this type of stuff, subscribe. But more of like a standard with like the Terra Ghost for the Chien-Paos, which you're going to probably want to run. You can also probably change this moveset up a little bit. If you don't want to run Ice Spinner, you want to run like Icicle Crash or something else, you can maybe run here Ice Shard, Psychic Fangs. There's a few other things you can actually run here that you can maybe run, even like Icy Wind for like speed support or whatever. But usually if you're running this duo, you just want to get as much damage as possible, as fast as possible, similar to when you're running Chien-Pao Dragonite, which is still pretty common in Regulation E. And then you got the Entei, which I don't know if you're really going to be wanting to run like 252, but I kind of just threw that in there for the EVs right now because we don't know what benchmarks and what type of EVs you're really going to want to be running and what some of the more common stuff is going to be. Maybe for like speed, you're gonna want like max. I know you're gonna want max attack, but like for speed, your base 100. So maybe you can go enough speed to outspeed like max speed or Shifu or something, or even like non-Scarf Landorus. I don't know, but then you're getting outsped by Shifu. So I don't know. I feel like Entei is gonna be a little bit in a weird spot because it's a base 100 Mon, and there's also a lot of other base 100s and like stuff that's close to base 100. So you can't really change your EVs around very much, otherwise you get outsped by slower things, or if you take some points out of your attack, then you're not going to be hitting as hard. At least with this combo. I think the Terra Normal is going to be probably the most common, or even like Terra Fire with Sacred Fire. If you guys not know what Sacred Fire does, it's a base 100 exclusive move to like some exclusive legendaries, and I guess Smeargle. That actually has a 50% chance to burn. It's 95% accuracy, and if you get frozen, it unthaws you automatically, which is it's like one of the most broken moves in the game. But it's balanced because it's only on like a few Mons. So, and then most of the Mons that's currently on are just legendaries, apart from Smeargle. So, I have the Stomping Tantrum on here because otherwise this set gets completely walled by Heatran, which I think will also be really common in the next regulation. So, Stomping Tantrum's kind of just there. And then the last move's kind of just going to be filler. I don't really know what moveset this thing's going to be getting, and if it's going to be getting any like other new moves. So I kind of just left it blank, but just so you guys can kind of know. But As for like the next combo, let's talk about Terrakion, Whimsicott. This is kind of a combo that's been really common for over like the past, since like Gen 6, even like Gen 5 when they were both in the game. It was way better in Gen 5 because I think there was a lot less Pokemon in the game and stuff has kind of gotten out of control, at least like with like the stat power creep, and there's a lot of other really good stuff. I don't think Terrakion's nearly as good as it was in like the earlier generations, but you can maybe see this thing, and it is good into some stuff that's currently being played. It has decent stats. It's 129 attack, 108 speed, which is still pretty good. I think the only downside to this is it's not 110. You're getting outsped by stuff like Tornadus and Thundurus and that type of thing. And a lot of the other stuff that's around like 110. Or even like 109. There's a few things that are like at 109 that outspeed you if you don't run max speed. But it's kind of cool to the point where you can kind of run... If you're running it with like Whimsicott, and your plan is to set up this thing with Whimsicott, you don't really even need to run any attack investment because with Beat Up, you're going to be going to +4 with Justified, which is pretty much what this build is. You run Beat Up on the Whimsicott with like a minus attack nature, like turn 1 or like turn 2. You beat up into the Terrakion, you automatically go to +4. And either with a Tailwind boost, as long as the enemy team or the enemy opponent does not have Tailwind or like anything that allows them to outspeed you, at +4, you usually just like Rock Slide turn 2, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know if this, like I said, I don't know if this is going to be a really crazy combo, because I think it's kind of gotten a little bit of power crept with a lot of the other newer Pokemon being added to the game, and at least like stats-wise, Terrakion really isn't the greatest as it once was. Same with Whimsicott, there's a lot of other like prankster users, the main one being Tornadus, which isn't as fast as Whimsicott is, but it can just attack turn 1 with like Bleak Windstorm, and it forces you to run Focus Sash, which is the main problem with Whimsicott, I think, with this generation. But as for like the other two moves, I don't know what you would really run here. It just comes down to whatever moveset they're going to actually give this thing when the DLC drops. There's a lot of options here. Like, you're going to want to run, obviously, like a Fairy move or like a Grass move, but you get a bunch of other prankster stuff, like Memento could be pretty good if you're like down to Sash and you don't have really any other use for your Whimsicott, just let it go down. Taunt can be pretty good because you're guaranteed to outspeed Tornadus. So you technically could outspeed Tornadus and taunt the Tornadus so they can't set up their own Tailwind. But like a lot of the Tornadus that are going to be going against you probably just attack turn 1 if they've seen a Whimsicott. But then you also have the Terrakion there, which kind of dissuades them from that. So I don't know. I would run Protect here as like a last move. At least that's what I would run. This kind of be the set that I would kind of run. Terrakion actually does get Quick Guard. So if you guys know what Quick Guard does, it pretty much prevents like any priority moves, including stuff with Prankster. So especially if like the enemy team's Tornadus want to like taunt you or prevent you from like doing whatever you want to do, you could actually just Quick Guard like turn 1 sometimes and kind of get an upper hand that way, which I think could be ran in some aspect. But apart from that, like, you're going to be going to +4 most of the time anyways, so I don't know how much attack you would actually want to run. I think the good thing with the Terrakion is you can probably throw a lot of your EVs into either defense or HP. Just run like max speed or like a lot of speed and then throw a lot more into bulk so you're able to live a lot more stuff. As for Terras, I'm not sure what you really run for a Terra. Maybe Terra Steel, but then you're still weak to ground type moves and you're kind of weak to Landorus, so I'm not sure exactly what you'd really run with this thing yet. Maybe Terra Fairy, I don't know. And then you have the Whimsicott. I don't know what you'd really run with the Whimsicott. I guess as a Terra, you'd probably want to run like Terra Steel or something that resists flying type moves. If you do want to like a defensive Terra, at least as of right now on paper, not really knowing anything about the stuff that's going to be getting played. But and then for like the EVs, you're probably going to run like max speed, probably max HP, or like a lot of HP and some defense and speed F investment. With mostly going to be the Focus Sash or like Mental Herb or Covert Cloak, one of those two. As for combo number 3, it's going to be Incineroar, Flutter Mane. It's going to be one of your, I think by default, it's probably going to be like your most common duo you're going to be seeing at the start of the regulation, or at least at the start of when the DLC drops for the Indigo disc. Incineroar is going to be coming back. It's going to be one of the top played, most common mons in VGC, especially if they give this thing back this crazy move pool. Like, look at the move pool this thing gets. Like, it is absolutely crazy, like, the amount of moves this thing gets. At least in national decks. I don't know if a lot of these will be coming back, but we'll see how it goes. But pretty much what I have on here is I have Fake Out and Parting Shot. I think those are going to be, like, really default, and then maybe Protect and then like another filler move, or even like you can get rid of Parting Shot for something else. There's so many options with Incineroar that I don't really have like an EV set for it right now, and like an item. Maybe like Clover Cloak or something, but or even like Leftovers or Citrus would be pretty good. Apart from that, like there's so many moves here. Like even like it gets Knockoff, Draining Punch, Darkest Lariat could be really good as well. I think actually Darkest Lariat's better than Knockoff, especially in VGC. Bulk Up, like it gets so much stuff, especially if all this comes back. EQ, Flame Charge, Lash Out could be pretty good. Snarl, Scorching Sands, Taunt, U-Turn, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp. Throat Chop could be pretty good for like stuff like Sylveon and Como-O. I know there's a lot of other stuff here. Growl. I guess if you really want to run Growl, I mean, it can work. You can run Growl. Gets Heat Crash. I don't think it'd be that good, though. Fire Spin. Bulldoze could be decent. Attract. I don't think that's actually in the game. I think they actually remove that from the game, but really solid mods. And you got Flutter Mane, which is pretty much a no-brainer. I think you're going to want 3 of these moves. It just depends what you're actually going to run with the Flutter Mane. If you're running Specs, or if you're going to be running the Booster Energy, or even like Life Orb, still pretty common. You're going to want to run like probably like the same EVs you're going to be running right now. Either more of a defensive Flutter Mane with a little bit less special attack, but some more into defense or HP to live some stuff on the physical side. And probably just like max speed. Probably either Timid or Modest, like a lot of them are really running currently. But as for the last move, I don't know what you really run here. Either if you're running like a non-spec set, I'd probably throw Protect on this build, but you could also run like another filler move here. I've seen Thunderbolt, Energy Ball, even like Mystical Fire, and even like Power Gem for stuff like Ogerpon and a few other fire types, and especially like Incineroar might actually be good. But even then, like you're still hitting them for neutral damage with Moonblast and that stab. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the last move would really be here, but kind of just left it blank. Let's talk about the last 2 combos I think that are going to be really common going into the start of the DLC. Next one's going to be Metagross Salamence. These 2 mons cover their weaknesses incredibly well. The Salamence is really weak to Fairy types and Ice types, which the Metagross really covers for. And then you have the Metagross, which I guess is still a Psychic type, but it doesn't really care for going against a lot of the faster Steel types or Fighting types, and like that type of thing. And they just kind of really synergize really well together, especially with the Intimidate support and not being able to get Intimidate with the Metagross. At least what I would run, I think I'd actually run like Assault Vest. I think Assault Vest Metagross is probably going to be the most common set going around, at least at the start of the DLC. With like, I don't know what you'd really run like EV-wise. If you'd run like a more faster Metagross, because your speed really isn't the craziest. Maybe I'd just run to outspeed like base 80s or like 85s. And that's what I would outrun. Throw enough EVs to outspeed those. And then throw the rest either into bulk and probably attack. That's what I'd probably do. And that's like the last move. I just kind of left it blank because I just don't really know what I'd throw on here. It just depends on what this thing's move pool is going to be as well when it comes back. A lot of this stuff it already lost. Like, it doesn't even have Pursuit or anything anymore, so I'm not sure what you actually run here. Maybe Body Press, just for like a fighting move for like Brick Break. I would probably not Body Press, but like Brick Break, or even like Earthquake would be pretty good if you're going to be pairing this thing along the side of the Salamence most of the time. You got the Salamence. I just kind of threw Roost, Tailwind, and Dragon Claw, because I think those could probably be like 3 most common moves that could be running on these. As for like the Terra, though, at least for the Metagross, I'd probably just run like Terra Steel. At least that's what I would run, or like maybe a defensive Terra. And then the Salamence probably like Terra Steel or like a defensive Terra. The Salamence you're going to be running more bulky, so I'd run like a lot of HP and like maybe a decent amount of speed to outspeed like under like Tailwind, outspeed like 110s or something, or like 111s, or like Tornadus, or like 115s or something, maybe under Tailwind. And then throw the rest into bulk, because with Intimidate you do have a lot of bulk, at least in the physical sense. So like the last move here, I kind of just didn't really put anything here either, because you can kind of run Dual Wing Beat or a bunch of other stuff. Bulldoze, if you want to run like a Weakness Policy Metagross, I guess you can maybe do that. There's a few other things here that you can maybe run as like more of a supportive moves or the coverage. But as for the item, I'd probably even throw like Rocky Helmet on this thing, or like Leftovers, but that's just me. Then we got the last, like, I think, common duo that you're going to be seeing at least with the start of the regulation. I think the most common ones you're going to be seeing is Excadrill, Tyranitar. This is actually a really common. It's kind of like the similar sense of like Terrakion, Whimsicott. It's been a thing for a long time already, like since way back in the day, and it's always been really good. I don't think it's really gotten power crept as much as the Whimsicott Tyranitar, not the Whimsicott Terrakion combo's kind of gotten a power crept, because you don't really see Excadrill nearly as much, and it's a lot more difficult to prepare for because the ground steel typing is just ridiculously difficult to prepare for, at least like offensively. Not many Mons really want to take like a ground and like a combo of a steel type stab. It's really difficult, and you add rock type moves on top of that, which gives you a lot of really solid coverage. And then you also add Terra to that as well, which you can also run Terra Blast if you really need to. I don't know what Terra you'd really run on the Excadrill. Maybe like a Terra Steel, or even like a defensive Terra. Even like Terra Rock wouldn't be too bad. I'd probably run like Terra Ghost, just mainly so you can dodge like the fighting type moves, or something that like resist fire type moves, because Incineroar is going to be pretty common. There's going to be a lot of other stuff that's at least like fire types, Entei, and there's a few other ones that are going to be coming back. So maybe even like Terra Water defensively would be too bad. I don't know. Not sure what the Terra would really be, but you're going to want to be running Sand Rush if you're going to be putting it beside the Tyranitar. I have Earthquake on here just because the Tyranitar is Terra Flying. At least that's what I would run. I'd run like Earthquake, Terra Flying, Tyranitar. I think that's still really good. But you could also run like a Weakness Policy set with like maybe like a Bulldoze on the Excadrill, just to like proc a Weakness Policy on the Tyranitar. I'm not sure, but you mean that as an Excadrill, you have such a high attack stat that the Tyranitar is going to be taking a really solid amount of damage, especially if you want it to be still super effective to proc the Weakness Policy. So I don't think that's really the best thing to do, especially with the Excadrill. But you have some other options here. I threw Knockoff and Rock Slide on here because I think those are the two most like common moves you're going to see on this thing. But you have another bunch of other options on here. Dragon Dance is really good if you want to set Dragon Dance. There's a bunch of other coverage options. You got Ice coverage, you got Fire coverage, Dragon coverage. If you want to run like double ground moves, you can run Earthquake. I mean, I guess you would really want to run Earthquake beside the Excadrill, but I guess Brick Break wouldn't be too bad. It's a bunch of other common stuff. It gets a lot of other like coverage stuff. Protect, I guess, if you're running like a non-AV set, which I think Assault Vest could also be pretty good, or like Sand Rock or whatever it is. I forgot what the actual name of the Sand Rock is, but the one that allows you to get 8 turns instead of 5 turns of sand, I think could also be pretty good. Got a bunch of other stuff here. You got Thunder Wave if you really want to run Thunder Wave. Stealth Rock Relay is common in VGC, but you're not gonna. It's still an option, but I guess Rock Polish wouldn't be too bad, or even like a loaded dice Rock Blast set wouldn't be too bad either. I think that could also be pretty viable. There's a lot of different options with Tyranitar. I think the only thing that's really holding it back is that you're kind of forced to use a Terra on it most of the time, just because the Rock Dark typing really isn't the greatest. At least it's good offensively, but defensively you're weak to so much stuff that's really common. So then EVs, I'd probably just run like max HP. If you're not running like a speedy Tyranitar like Dragon Dance or Rock Polish, I wouldn't even bother running like any speed. Maybe enough to outspeed like base 1 or base 65s, because there are quite a few like 65 base speed mons that can be kind of common, like Sylveon, and then I think there's a few other ones. I'm not sure if Umbreon's 65 speed, but I know there's another evolution. There's a few other things that are like around 65 speed you might want to outrun, but I would just throw like a limited amount of number of speed EVs if you're not running like a full like speedy Tyranitar, and just throw the rest into bulk. At least that's what I would probably do. Or even not even running like any speed, and just throw the rest into like HP or attack, or like a bunch of an attack and then some defenses. So there you have it though, everybody. Unfortunately, there really wasn't much Trick Room. I kind of wanted to include like a Trick Room combo on this list as well, but unfortunately a lot of the Trick Room setters that are coming back kind of just get outclassed by Cresselia. And a lot of the Trick Room users that could really benefit from Trick Room just get outclassed by a lot of stuff that we currently have. So unfortunately, I don't have really like any Trick Room combo on this list, which is what I kind of wanted to include. But like Chlorigon 2 and like a few of the other Trick Room setters just outclass so much, and there's not really much reason to use them over like a Cresselia or like a Dusclops or like a few of the other Trick Room setters that are currently already in the game. So, same like the Trick Room abusers. Like a Ursaluna is still going to be really good. That's already in the game. Blood Moon Ursaluna, King Gambit. There's a bunch of other stuff. Armor Rogue, I just think will still be really good under Trick Room. There's a lot of other slower stuff too that's like in Trick Room that could be really good, but nothing really coming back that I would really put as like a combo on this list, like alongside a Cresselia over like stuff that we currently have. So let me know if you guys have anything that I did not mention in this video. If you guys have like a common pairing that you think is going to be really common or really good at the start of Regulation F or when the DLC drops here in a few days. Another one I wanted to include on this list actually was Sun, alongside like Venusaur. I think Venusaur and like Torkoal or Ninetales, but I don't know how much that's really going to be very common, because I think Sand's going to be a little bit more common. I just think the Sand's a little bit more going to be a little bit more viable. I don't think Sun's really the greatest, at least currently. I don't know, maybe when Venusaur does come back, maybe it'll be a little bit decent, but even then I feel like Venusaur, at least stat-wise, compared to a lot of the other Pokemon that are going to be really common, kind of got a little bit power crept even in the Sun with Chlorophyll. It just doesn't really have the offensive stats to really get a lot of KOs like it used to. At least doing a lot of calcs for it, so not as bad as Victreebel though. I do think you'll see Venusaur in like Sun, but not really good enough to throw it on this list, because these I think are going to be the more common combos and duos you're going to be seeing at the start of the DLC. So apart from that, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video. I talked way more than I should have, but if you guys want to tab out and listen to me talk as well, that's completely fine. I also stream over here 2 times a week, usually on Friday and Saturday nights. And I also stream on Twitch on Sunday nights. If you guys want to go follow me over there, link to that in the description down below. If you guys don't want to miss my streams, subscribe. Got a bunch more stuff on the way with the Indigo disc dropping here in a few days. And a lot of content, so you guys not want to miss it. Apart from that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody.